Hello and welcome here to Talk SCB and welcome back to the channel here for another video here today. And I must say this video is going to be an awful lot more positive than the video that came earlier on today. And I just basically, guys, wanted to make this video because, as you know, if you've been a follower of the channel for a while, you'll know that I'm not really one of those people who always like to look at things on the negative side. I don't really like to look at everything, you know, doom, doom, doom. And that's not what the video earlier today was about. That video was just looking at some of the decisions the board has made over the past few years and just look at how we can improve, really. And certainly buying and selling players is a really big part in today's game with the inflated market, how it is. And I just think it's really, really important that we improve that side of our negotiations. And certainly in this summer, it's so important that we get things right. So I just wanted to look at the different decisions they've made over the last few years and hear what you guys had thought of it. But I am back with this video now where we're going to look at 6 different ways that Barcelona can make things better this summer in their way to returning to the very top of the football pinnacle. And number 1, let's crack straight on with it, and that is the most important thing: get rid of the dead weight in this squad. That is such an important thing this summer. We've got to be ruthless. We've got to get the players who are not going to play, not going to feature. We've got to get them out, whatever means necessary. We have to get rid of the players this summer that are no longer fit for Barcelona. The likes of Jeremy Mathieu, the likes of Thomas Vermaelen, Douglas, Christian Teo is going to leave this summer, possibly Arda Turan. Masip has already left on a free transfer. Those types of players who are on the wage bill, and as we saw from earlier's video, the likes of Mathieu are earning very high salaries, and the important thing this summer is definitely reducing that wage bill. The wage bill for us in recent seasons has been a massive problem. It's been rising and rising, and if we want to do things this summer, like sign players, like make contract renewals, you've got to make sure that you're adjusting that wage budget to comply with those restraints. And it's so important that we do reduce that this summer by getting rid of that dead weight in the squad and by shifting some players. Whether it has to be on free transfers, we're going to have to wait and see. Sometimes players are happy to sit out, you know, the last few games or the few years of their contract just to be at Barcelona and pick up the wage. If that's the case, we may well see it with Mathieu where we just release them. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but we know we've got to get them out this summer, whatever it takes. And then in doing that, in reducing our wage bill and giving ourselves a little bit more room for manoeuvre, the first thing that we have to get done is Lionel Messi's contract renewal. That is number 2. We have to make sure that Lionel Messi renews his contract this summer without fail, and not a minute past the summer, because his current contract expires in 2018. That's in just 1 year time. We cannot let Messi's contract run down to the last few months when other clubs are going to be interested. They're going to be offering him astronomical wages. You can imagine what the Premier League clubs are going to put in front of him if it gets down to the last few months. We cannot wait that long, and he certainly shouldn't have to wait that long. He's a player that deserves everything that he wants, obviously within reason, but the guy has earned a new contract, an improved contract. The way he's played, not only last season, but for the entire time that he's been with Barcelona, he's done more than enough to earn a contract renewal, and it is so important that we tie him down to that renewal this summer without fail. If we can reduce our wage budget, we've got a real chance of doing that and giving him what he wants and certainly what he deserves. Number 3 for me would be make quality signings. I would say we don't need to bring in a whole wealth of players this summer. I would say narrow it down to 2 players. 2 very quality players. A right back and a centre midfielder. My ideal choices would be to bring in Nelson Semedo from Benfica and to bring in Marco Verratti from PSG. Whether those 2 can happen, we have no idea at this stage. It's gone very quiet at the moment on Semedo, and of course PSG are very hard negotiators and have no intention of letting Verratti go this summer. So whether we'll be able to attain them, we don't know yet, but I think those 2 positions are the things that we need to improve on. A right back certainly, and a centre midfielder will give us the world of good next season and will improve our squad massively. Of course, we could bring in more players. There's talk of a winger coming in. There's talks of possibly another centre back. We're not sure on who else is going to come in, but I would highlight a right back and a centre midfielder for sure this summer and make sure that they're quality. You know what they say, if you buy average, you buy twice. Go and get the right players, get them the first time around. Don't make any mistakes in doing it. Number 4 for me would be with that right back and with that centre midfielder. The onus then is on Ernesto Valverde. He has got to change our style, or not completely change it, but just tweak it back to controlling games. We want to make sure the emphasis is back on midfield, and that's the number 4 point. Get back to our philosophy of playing with the ball, controlling games from midfield, slowing the game down, dictating the tempo, playing at our own pace, playing possession-based football, and understanding the way that we're playing, as we always have done, right throughout our teams, so that Barca B are playing exactly the same way as the first team, which will make it easier to integrate players from the youth teams. We've got to get that emphasis back on midfield, and I do hold my hopes in Ernesto Valverde this summer that he can do that. With the right players, if you give him a right back and you give him a midfielder, that will strengthen our squad and our team enormously. That will give him the power then to say to the midfield, you've got enough in you now to go and grab games by the scruff of their neck and make sure that you're in control of every single second of it. I think he can do it this summer as long as we provide him with the right players to do so. Number 5 would be certainly around La Masia, and the most important thing this summer is that Barcelona B clinch their promotion to the Segunda Division. That is a massive step in the right direction for La Masia. Barca B are currently 4-1 up and have the home leg to come tomorrow against Racing Santander. If they win that game, if they see out that big aggregate advantage, then we will be in the Segunda next season with Barca B. And that is massive, because it's not just about a team getting promoted. This is about a group of young players who not only will get the confidence and, the really good feeling about getting promoted and taking a big step in the right direction in their careers, it also gives them next season a much higher level to perform on and to prove themselves on, because there's a massive, massive difference in Spain between the second division and the third tier of Spanish football. There's a massive, massive gulf in the quality. It is so important that next season we get back to that second tier, and those players then can play week in, week out against very, very good Spanish teams, grown men, and improve every single game. And of course then Valverde can look at those games and say he's impressing in the second division, because it's a very, very different thing to impress in the Segunda than it was to impress in the third tier of Spanish football. In the third tier, there were some teams that really, really were not up to scratch. In the second division, the teams are all of very, very good quality, and these players in Barca B are going to get the chance to compete against that every single week, prove themselves, and hopefully then make the step up to that first team. And that is the final point. In getting promoted, in playing at that level every week, Valverde can have a look at the players, and I hope then, going back to our philosophy of La Masia, bringing through the youth players and giving them more opportunities. I'm not saying that Valverde has got to take a lot of players from Barca B and throw them straight into first team action, promote them straight away. But I'm saying when there's the opportunity there to do it, give a player a chance. Let him have one game in the first team, put him in the team sheet, put him in the squad, let him have a feel of how things are in the first team. Just give the likes of Carlos Elena, Palencia, Marlon will come up and play a few first team games. I've got no doubt about that. Cuckoo has just signed a new deal, a very, very promising fullback who could certainly come to the first team in the likes of the Copa del Rey matches. If the Champions League group is already sewn up, we can give players the opportunity then. It's all about giving them a bit of game time, let them understand how it works in the first team. The big step up is the hardest one, but when they're there, they can establish themselves. And if we can get, very, very close again with La Masia, promoting our own players instead of going into the transfer market and having to spend millions upon millions trying to sign someone and then paying agent fees and then paying astronomical wages because of other clubs competing, the important thing is producing our own players, being able to integrate them into the starting 11. And like I said at the start of the video, it's so important that all the teams are playing in exactly the same way. I think Barcelona B have had a great season. They've been playing some very, very nice football. It's important now that Valverde takes our emphasis back on midfield, gets us playing in the right way, gets us all playing together, and then uses some of those players from Barca B and the Barca youth teams, giving them opportunities and giving them chances in the first team to prove themselves, and possibly then in the future they can become a part of the first team and establish themselves as Barcelona players and possibly even Barcelona stars in the future to come. So those are the six things that I feel if we can do those this summer, and all of them are doable. They're not really impossible tasks. Of course, bringing in the likes of Verratti, possibly Semedo, is not going to be easy, but in terms of shifting the dead weight, it's something that's got to be done. And then renewing Lionel Messi's contract, that should be a formality. That should have already been done. That should have been a priority for me, and I'm very, very sad, really, that has not been done yet. But I do hold out hope that it will be done. I've got good faith in Valverde. I think he's going to come in. He's going to use the youth. I think he's got a very, very good idea about the way that he wants to play. I think we can return to our philosophy. I think that's going to be so, so important next season in the way that we play, how he appeals to the fans, and I think we can all get behind him and hope for a very, very positive season. Because like I said in the video earlier, things haven't been going great. We've made some bad decisions, but this video is just to show you guys that if we do make the right decisions this summer, we can still take a massive step in the right direction. These are 6 things that we can do to make our future brighter and to certainly make our return to the top a little bit more seamless, and hopefully next season is the start of that. Leave your thoughts down below, guys. Hopefully more positive than earlier. I hope that I've been more positive than earlier. I appreciate your thoughts and your support as always. I will see you very, very soon. Until then though, as always, Visca el Barça.